Greetings. The International College of Behavioral Counseling presents life-defining axioms. Each axiom contains essential wisdom for living. And today's axiom simply states, ugly yet beautiful. Ugly yet beautiful. Self-image is very, very important. Here's a lion cub looking at a puddle of water, and he sees his daddy, the king of the jungle. And although he's merely a cub, he sees himself as king. Here's another one. A kitten looks at spilt water in the kitchen, and he believes in himself because what he's seeing is a tiger looking back. He's just a kitten, a young kitten, but he sees a tiger looking back at him. And then there's this cat looking in the mirror, and what does he see? He sees a mouse. And how do you see yourself? Because you will never grow beyond the level of your expectation or beyond the level of your perception. Do you see yourself as a winner or do you see yourself as a loser? It was Henry Ford who said, if you think you can win, or if you think you lose, you're right. Because you win and you lose by the things you choose. That's very important. And so what I do is in one of my classes, I set up a full-length mirror in my classroom. And during the break, the coffee break, where the people have their tea and coffee or cold drinks and sweets and savories, I asked each student to take at least 1 full minute standing in front of the mirror looking at themselves in total quietness. Now that's quite a daunting thing when you know that everybody else is watching you while you're doing this. And so in the class, when they come back, I ask them some pertinent questions. How did you feel when you stood there in front of the mirror looking at yourself? What was the first thing that you noticed? And one person would say, well, I really felt self-conscious. I didn't like that experience at all. Another person said, well, the first thing I noticed was my hair, how unkempt it was. Another person said, I need to lose some weight. There's just no question about that. Another person said, yuck. Their image was the mouse image, I presume, because they didn't think very positively of themselves. Upon deeper reflection, I asked, upon deeper reflection, what did you think? Was your perception of yourself accurate? Do you really need a makeover, or do you just think you need a makeover? What was your perception? Was it accurate? And then I asked him, did you ever ask yourself the question what God saw when you looked in the mirror? What was God's opinion of your perception? That's all very important. In the year 2006 and 2010, there was a sitcom that ran for 4 years. It featured an office building with very attractive looking people, though the women, about 35 years of age, were all dressed to a T. Their hair was done well, their clothes was, and they were very professional. And the men were, I suppose you'd call them macho hunks. And there was one person there who was rather pedestrian. She dressed in common, ordinary clothes. She had black hair that came down just like this, horn-rimmed glasses. She had braces on her teeth, and they called her Ugly Betty. That was the name of the program for 4 years, Ugly Betty. But you know, as you watched the program and followed week after week, you discovered that the most attractive person in the entire cast was Ugly Betty. She was the beautiful person. You see, you can be rather plain. You can be a plain Jane and still be beautiful. You can wear a gunny sack and still be beautiful. Alternatively, you can be beautiful and yet ugly. Have you ever known people like that? I had a patient who came to see me. He was 8 years older than me, I discovered, yet he looked young enough to be my son. His full head of hair, every tooth in his mouth was beautiful, his skin on his face was tight. I found him disgusting. Or maybe that was just merely envy on my part. But I discovered how he came to look this good. He showed me a picture of himself. He was totally bald, but he had a full hair transplant. Every tooth in his mouth was capped. He had a liposuction. He had a tummy tuck, and he had three facelifts. And one day he said to me, "I've had so many facelifts, my sideburns now are behind my ears." And I burst out laughing. And while I was laughing, I noticed that he was very offended. And I said, "You're offended?" He said, "Yes, I am." I said, "But why are you offended?" He said, "Because you're laughing at me." I said, "You told me a joke." He said, "Oh, no, that's no joke at all." And pulling his ear back, he said, "Feel." And I took this finger and ran it up behind his ear, and sure enough, that's where his sideburns were. Because you see, the plastic surgeon pulls back your skin like this. See how good I look just by pulling back my skin a little bit like that? Well, they got to put the skin someplace, so they put it behind the ear. He was beautiful, and yet he was ugly. Similarly, I had a lady come to me for therapy. Now, she was beautiful. Her hair was in absolute immaculate condition. Her eyebrows and her mascara was perfect. Her lipstick and her powder was wonderful, and she wore beautiful clothing. And upon her third visit, I said, "Ma'am," I said, "I'm going to disqualify myself. I can't see you anymore." But she said, "You've helped me so much. Why can't you see me?" I said, "Because I really don't know who you are." I said, "I come in, all I can see is your hairdo. I see your clothes. I see your beautiful makeup and everything." And I say, "Indeed, you are eye candy. That's candy for the eye. You're a very beautiful lady, but I don't know who you are." I said, "Now, if you're going to see me next Thursday when you come in for your appointment at 11 o'clock, I want you to do this. I want you to go and work in the garden and in the yard from 8 till 10. It takes you an hour to get here, then come to my office without washing, without doing your hair, without anything. And if you can't do that, I won't see you." Well, the next week she did that. She came in looking like she had been to a dog fight and the dogs won, kind of thing. And she sat there and I looked at her and I said, "Now I see a beautiful, beautiful person." Dear ones, you are not what you wear, and you're really not what you act. You are what you are by God's grace. How then do we see ourselves? As stunningly beautiful, as attractive, or as God made you? Just be happy with who you are, and don't be self-conscious about your beauty. You need to look presentable. I agree with that, because you don't want to look like you've been to that dog fight and the dogs won. But you are you because of what Christ has made. God has given us a cornucopia of characteristics which we can emulate or make our own. What is a cornucopia? Well, during Thanksgiving, the Americans particularly and the Canadians celebrate what we call Thanksgiving. It's in the fall of the year, and we're thankful to God for what He has provided for us. And a cornucopia is just a basket or a horn that is filled with all kinds of fruit and vegetables that God has given us during the year. That's what a cornucopia is. And God has given us a cornucopia of beautiful characteristics. But the fruit of the Spirit, here they come, is love, joy, peace, long suffering, that means patience, gentleness, kindness, faithfulness, meekness, self-control. Against such there is no law. Galatians 5:22 and 23. These are the characteristics that make you beautiful, not your mascara and not your dress. There's an old song that's beautiful. It says, "Let the beauty of Jesus be seen in me, all his wondrous passion and purity. O thou Savior divine, may I truly be thine, till the beauty of Jesus be seen in me." The second verse goes on like this: "Let the beauty of Jesus be seen in me, all his wonderful passion and purity. O thou Spirit divine, may I truly be thine, till the beauty of Jesus be seen in me." Well, that's good theology and that's good psychology, and that's essential wisdom for living. I'm Wilf Kent. Visit our website, icbconline.org. Until next time, farewell and keep well.